Right now on the National Weather Desk. The bitter cold weather is moving out, but not before dumping more snow in the Midwest and contributing to dozens of deaths. Heavy rain in Texas sparks several overnight water rescues. What you need to know about the thickness of ice before heading out on a frozen lake. We'll see how ice dams can cause significant damage to your home. Some tips to prevent frostbite so you're prepared for the next wave of cold. And a look at the ice shelves that formed along Lake Michigan.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Eileen Whalen. Well, last week's bitter cold temperatures are responsible for dozens of deaths across the country. At least 72 people died from weather-related causes, according to the New York Times. Now, 27 of those deaths are just in Tennessee, with another 11 in Oregon. Hypothermia, traffic accidents, and downed power lines are among the most common causes of deaths during cold snaps. Well, the last of the significant snowfall from last week's storm buried portions of Indiana and Michigan over the weekend. More than 3 feet fell in some places. Stephanie Wade has more from the southeastern shores of Lake Michigan.
As the sun sets in Michigan City, a whopping 36 inches of snow now covers the northwest Indiana area.
Can I say crazy, but with the capitals? Yeah, I've been out 3 days with no sleep.
Running on utter exhaustion, Dave Westfall has been working through the night to plow snow for residents and businesses.
I'm at people's beck and call because, number one, they have to get out. You know, I cater to the elderly. You know, thank God I got all new equipment.
It's everywhere. People are blocked in.
Husband and wife Michelle and Aaron Lindsay posted on Facebook last night they had a snowblower, and everyone started reaching out for help.
People were asking us to clear out parking spot in front of their house. They're just getting off of work. They saw us doing someone else's house, so kind of just kept going from there.
Cars all across town completely buried. The city called in reinforcements to help with the snow cleanup.
It takes quite a bit of time because there's just so much snow.
Because again, the snow kept coming and it kept coming and it kept coming.
This morning, a winter weather advisory stretches from Oklahoma to western Pennsylvania. Now, the biggest concerns are in Oklahoma and Arkansas, where significant icing is expected. Then warmer weather starts to move in, especially across the Midwest and East. By the middle of the week, more than 200 million people could be seeing above average temperatures. Here in Washington, we're looking at the mid-60s by Friday. So crazy what a difference a week makes. Well, heavy rain in San Antonio overnight led to several water rescues. Police say a group of people were driving on the north side of the city when they ran into high water. A woman in the car got out and was swept away. Firefighters were able to rescue her. Now, she was sent to the hospital to warm up after being, quote, neck deep in the water. The other people in the car were able to get out safely. Now, on Sunday, the Division of Emergency Management activated state resources in anticipation of floods this week. Heavy snowfall over the past 2 weeks created significant avalanche dangers in Utah. There were dozens of them, many of which were triggered by humans. Now, the good news this morning is that the danger has decreased, but as Christian Sita reports, the avalanche season is far from over.
The snow-covered mountains are like a magnet for winter sport enthusiasts. It's irresistible.
So we've had a really snowy past couple of weeks. Several feet of snow, lots of wind, lots of water weight.
That's the perfect grounds for avalanches. Greg Gagne, a forecaster, is seeing less snowfall up in the mountains, but stresses that there's still a great concern for avalanche activity, even though the danger is coming down.
We've had a reduction in avalanche danger, but we're still at considerable. And that means avalanches are possible. And the danger that we currently have, if you do trigger an avalanche, it will be really big. It will be several feet deep.
The Avalanche Center continues to get reports of human-triggered avalanches. These avalanches are breaking 2 to 4 feet deep and 100 feet wide. Resorts are reporting control work and fewer avalanche risk. But Gagne still wants the public to bear in mind the possibility of avalanche conditions. The avalanche danger is considerable at upper and mid-level slopes. The danger is moderate on lower and mid-level slopes.
Last week's cold temperatures mean ice enthusiasts started heading out on frozen lakes to ice fish or snowmobile. But as temperatures warm, it's important to know how much ice you need to enjoy it safely. Albany, New York meteorologist Sam Coplin has the frozen facts.
Certainly not an uncommon sight to see. In fact, climatologically, we should be seeing sights like this. We should have seen this weeks ago already start to form, but we're finally starting to see chunks of ice through major waterways, both along the Hudson and along the Mohawk near Rexford. That's where this shot is right now. Now, for recreational use, the important factor of ice is its thickness, and it goes without saying this is often very tricky to gauge. There's an ice auger which you could use, stick it in the ice, and it could show you the thickness of that ice. But if it's 2 inches or less, certainly keep off of it. Now, if it's over 4 inches, that's when you can start doing activities like ice fishing. Once you get up towards the 5 to 6 inch range, that's when a snowmobile or an ATV could go on the ice. 8 to 12 inches, cars and small trucks, and we're certainly not going to be anywhere near this. But if you're over a foot of ice, that's when a medium truck could handle on it. Again, it's very tricky to gauge how thick it is. The key is if you're on the ice, which is not recommended right around now because it's been so mild going into this cold snap.
Now, the freezing and thawing in many parts of the country is soaking drywall in homes. The damage is from what's known as an ice dam, and if you've ever had one, you won't forget it. Scott Couch has this important warning.
If you have icicles hanging off your gutters, it may be a sign of trouble, not necessarily for your gutters, but for your walls and ceiling.
Ice dams occur whenever snow on the ice begins to melt off, and as the water is running down towards the gutters, it refreezes, and therefore creating a dam, and it backs water up, allowing water to get in areas where it normally would never go in.
This is what it can look like on the inside. Stains on your ceiling or walls where water from the outside is creeping in. MJ Garrett with Oster Miller Roofing and Construction says the trapped water can back up under shingles and over flashing. And unfortunately, he says, there's not much you can do about it until the ice is gone.
A lot of times people will get up and use a hammer and start trying to bust the ice up on the roof, and all they're doing is causing more damage to the roof. So I don't recommend anybody take it upon themselves to get up and try to take out that ice.
Not everyone who has icicles or frozen gutters gets an ice dam, but experts say it can happen anytime we have weather like this. So keep your eyes open, and if you see signs of water intrusion, call a trusted roofing contractor.
In New England, most of this year's weather-related damage came from powerful storms that brought strong winds and coastal flooding. Some small family farms in Maine say the recovery is going to cost them a lot. Portland reporter Asia Reed has their story.
It's a tough hit for a small farm.
When Maureen Goranson first looked outside the morning after a second severe rainstorm flooded stretches of Maine's coast, she found that 2 buildings on her farm had been severely damaged.
I find that something's been damaged like that. It's scary. It's very scary.
This structure is a high tunnel. It acts like a greenhouse for some of their crops. Winds and rain damaged the outside of it, and now they'll need a new one.
It is now floppy and damaged to the point where it has to be replaced 2 years earlier than what we expected.
Their hoop house, where they grow rare plants, is damaged too.
Wind blew something into it and ripped the side of it.
Tonight and tomorrow could be a great opportunity to catch the northern lights. NOAA issued a moderate geomagnetic watch through tomorrow following an eruption of solar material. The lights could be visible over some of the northern and upper Midwest states from New York to Idaho. Last night, the lights should have been visible over much of Canada and Alaska. And take a look at this. An ice sculptor in northern Kentucky and nearly a dozen neighbors braved the cold over the weekend to carve this ice sculpture. The sculpture depicts an obelisk with a penguin on the top. Now, all the ice you see was collected from a local pond, and it took over 4 hours to create the 3D art. It's unknown exactly how long it will last, as temperatures in the region are expected to top 40 degrees today, and it will get to nearly 60 degrees later in the week. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll talk with a livestock farmer about protecting cows during the cold winter months. Plus, tips on how to prevent frostbite this winter season.
I'm meteorologist Ryan Munn with a look at the Northeast. As we head through the daytime on Monday, we are going to see a mix of sun and clouds, but I think it will be mainly sunny for most areas. We'll see some clouds move in for the afternoon, but notice that we are mainly dry throughout the day on Monday. Once we get to Tuesday, things are going to change. We are going to see some light snow and even some mix and rain in southern New England as we head through the afternoon and evening. High temperatures for the day Monday, topping out in the 30s for most.
I'm meteorologist Jasmine Lomax with a look at the mid-Atlantic region. We'll have high pressure over the region, and that means a nice and dry start to the day with plenty of sunshine. As we head into the afternoon, a couple of snow showers across parts of Pennsylvania and into New York. Most of us, though, are going to stay dry with temperatures a little bit higher than the chance for a wintry mix and rain as we head into Tuesday morning. Our temperatures will rise to the 20s, 30s, and 40s before a cool down overnight.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Welcome back. I'm meteorologist Matt Ritter. Last week's bone-chilling low temperatures created a major risk of frostbite. Since numbness is one of the effects, you may not even know you're in trouble. So let's turn to Amanda Chin to find out how to spot and prevent frostbite the next time the mercury takes a dive.
In frigid cold, it can happen within minutes.
Unfortunately, frostbite is a real concern.
Emergency physician Mark Conroy with Ohio State's Wexner Medical Center says the parts of our bodies that are furthest away from the core are most vulnerable to frostbite, including ears, nose, fingers, and toes.
By the time you hit true frostbite, when you're damaging the tissues of your body, things are typically numb, so you don't necessarily feel them.
That's why you need to know the signs, including a white or grayish yellow skin area, skin that feels unusually firm or waxy, and numbness. If any of these symptoms are present, Conroy says to get out of the cold right away, shed wet clothing, and start to slowly rewarm the body with dry blankets and lukewarm water.
You don't want to, go too close to a fire because some of the ways that we can rewarm ourselves can actually hurt us further.
You can also help prevent frostbite by wearing waterproof clothing and footwear, wear gloves, and keep other extremities like ears and your nose covered as well. And Taylor says not to drink alcohol.
You might be suffering from the cold more than you realize if you've had something to drink before heading outside.
Your pets could get frostbite too, along with hypothermia and other cold weather ailments. Chloe Mesogaitis looks at how those frosty temperatures can impact your pet.
Just like us, our furry friends need to be warm, especially when some of these dropping temperatures come into our area. So what can you do to make sure you're taking precaution and getting ready for the snow?
For your pets, the frigid temperatures can cause anything from frostbite to hypothermia. Brandy Danoon Damewood at the Humane Society said all are at risk, but short-coated dogs like pit bulls are the most prone.
So these dogs are going to really need a little extra care.
when going outside to go potty or different things like that.
Plus, keeping their nails shorter helps with traction when walking on ice. Damewood says maybe opt out of your daily walk on rougher days, as some ice melt can impact your pet's paws. So wipe off your pet's paws the minute you get inside.
Some of the chemicals that are in the de-icers can be very irritating to their paws.
But for some of the pets that are strictly outdoors, there are laws in certain villages nearby that give them an added layer of protection whenever it drops below freezing. One county law looks to make sure the doghouse is adequate to protect the animal from the elements, like by using straw, which provides a dry form of insulation for the pet, rather than holding moisture like a blanket, which would then freeze.
Having the straw in there, you want so much more straw than what you think you need, because your dog will bury and burrow into the straw. This will help keep him insulated and safe.
Damewood reminds all pet owners to check your pet's water bowl to make sure that water is fresh and not freezing.
And as those temperatures get into the single digits, the Humane Society suggests probably keeping some of those potty breaks and time outdoors limited to about 30 minutes.
And it's not just cats and dogs that need a little help when temperatures get cold. A cowboy in Arkansas rescued a calf from his neighbor's frozen pond last week. It's not as unusual as you may think. Macy Davis has that story.
It was a legendary lasso in Paragould Thursday morning.
I noticed that the little calf was out on the pond, and I couldn't find my rope, and so I thought about a close-by neighbor that usually does this stuff, so I called him.
That neighbor is Max Bishop. He trains mules and horses for a living.
That's pretty much what we do, so hang out, ride mules, and play cowboy all day.
After learning about the calf moving out into the middle of a frozen pond, he knew what he had to do.
We just drove the truck right to the pond and just ran up there and got it roped and got it drug out.
Although Bishop made the whole process look utterly simple.
No, I did not rope it the first try. It's actually pretty comical. So I threw it so hard that the rope just kept going, and I threw the whole dang rope was out there.
Luckily, he had a backup rope to throw out a calculated lasso.
It was real lucky because where the calf had been laying, the ice had already started breaking and melting.
The calf's owner, John Lane, said this is the worst time of year for his livestock.
And when the ponds melt, the cows still will go out on them. And before you know it, they're out on it. I've already lost 5 calves.
The calf's mom did become a concern for Bishop during the rescue.
Because I was thinking that if she gets mad, she runs me over and knocks me in this pond. That's going to get really cold.
The Paragould cowboy said he's always willing to help out his neighbors, and it was an added benefit to see his daughter so happy.
Come pet it. Yes. We got her involved now. Oh yeah, I think it's important for Region 8 and America in general is just to help your neighbors any way you can.
You always want to know a good neighbor. Max is a good neighbor.
Now all is well for the little calf that walked out onto the ice, and Bishop will be waiting for the next call to round up another animal that's not where it should be.
If anyone else called you up to wrangle their calf or cow, would you do it?
Absolutely. We'll be loaded and going in about 10 minutes.
When we talk about the cold, we often think of the temperature and snow, but wind also plays a major role. Meteorologist Kit Alexander explains.
The thermometer may be reading in the 30s, but there is something that the thermometer is not telling you. The wind chill or how it feels outside. The wind chill is a gauge for the human body to know what it feels like as you step out the door. For instance, the temperature is reading just below freezing at 31 degrees, but there is a current wind speed of 10 miles per hour. This gives us a wind chill of 22 degrees. When there is no wind, there is a layer of heat between our skin and the cold air around us. However, wind will remove the insulating layer from our skin by speeding heat loss and whisking away the warmth.
Last week's cold weather helped build up an ice shelf along portions of Lake Michigan, and this week's warm-up means it'll soon start melting. Meteorologist Will Henney caught up with folks taking in the sights and explains how these ice shelves develop.
Pelting wind and curtains of lake-effect snow made conditions pretty brutal for those brave enough to venture outside. People are out along the frozen beach taking in Mother Nature's spectacle.
It's kind of, it looks like another planet when you look out at the way the ice, it builds up into these mountains because it's fresh water, freezes, the splash goes up and it freezes into these peaks. And it looks like, maybe the surface of the moon or something like that. So it's just, yeah, it's beautiful.
I'll go up on top of that hill so you can get a real good look over all these icebergs and the ice shelf that's forming there.
We usually walk on the beach every day, but it's a little hard to get down our 100 steps, and there's a lot of ice down there.
So I understand that people get curious and they want to go check it out, but again, there's a safe and correct way to do things.
While it's a sight to behold, it's important to remember the ice shelf is inherently dangerous and unstable. Unless you know the beach extremely well, it's impossible to judge where exactly the beach ends and water begins. Weak spots in the ice aren't strong enough to support a person's weight, leading to the risk of falling into icy waters below.
And before we take a short break, let's take flight over the Susquehanna River in Pennsylvania.
Well, a very good Monday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. Take a look at weather story across the Midwest. We got a lot of freezing rain and ice across the Ozarks area. Now, as we continue on into the day tomorrow, this all shifts its way a little bit farther towards central Ohio, and we're still dealing with a lot of rain, continuing with some snow on the northern edge of it as we go into your Wednesday. Pretty similar, but we're taking out a little bit more of the snow. It's looking more rain showers as temperatures are warming up a little bit heading into the middle of the week.
Good Monday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo. Look at our forecast across the region, and we're watching for some heavy rain this morning in portions of East Texas. That will work towards Arkansas and Louisiana in the hours in front of us. Kind of a lull across Texas. 50s for afternoon highs today, and then we'll see more rain chances as we head into your Tuesday. Showers and thunderstorms across a good portion of the Lone Star State, and that extends in Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana Tuesday afternoon, so rainy next few days.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's what's happening across the West. Well, we're finally warming up again across the coast and even inland. We're having that struggle with a wintry mix with some of these storms tracking in on colder air that has not been scoured out. That'll be the case when the next storm system pummels California with heavy mountain snow, windy conditions in the morning, and then as we get into parts of southern Arizona, we're going to get a wintry mix there, but we're also going to be getting that wintry mix early this morning and around parts of eastern central Washington. That is the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Climate and weather. Meteorologist Marshall McPeak explains the difference.
Climate deals with long-term averages. That's years, decades, even millennia. Weather, on the other hand, is short-term. Weather's what we get on a day-to-day basis, so days, weeks, even months. But it's also what gives us the extremes.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
Have you ever asked yourself just how much wind tall buildings can handle before falling down? Theron Zahn recently posted about that very topic on X, formerly known as Twitter.
Just about every tall building is built to withstand gale force winds, so if you see one moving back and forth during a windstorm, you don't have much to worry about. When it comes to landmarks like the Space Needle here, that was actually built to withstand 200-mile-an-hour winds. It does move back and forth during a windstorm, about an inch for every 10 miles an hour. But if you're up on top and you're moving back and forth, don't worry, you're safe.
We'd love to share your weather content on the air. You can also find us on all your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Thank you for joining us. I'm meteorologist Matt Ritter. Make it a great day. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.